Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Tell Me More show. I have been waiting so long to interview my guest this morning, and I'd like you to welcome the beautiful Lisa Budin-Price. Hi, Lisa.
Good afternoon. How are you, Kel-Anne?
I'm good. Afternoon, good morning. We don't know what day it is, do we?
No, we don't. We don't. Could be any time in the world.
We are chatting in the afternoon, but I am going to put it on Facebook on Friday morning for everybody.
Sure.
We've had to pre-record this show for various reasons. So, but oh yeah, it's just so wonderful to have you on this show. Now, for those of you who don't know, Lisa is a fabulous singer, and she's also an artist. And I'm going to be asking Lisa some questions to get to know her even better. I've known Lisa for a long, long time. I think we first met, oh God, so many years ago now.
22 years ago.
There you go, at an Alva dinner. And we've been friends ever since. So I'd love for everybody to get to know you. So I'm going to start with, where were you born?
I was born in a small place called London, Ontario, which is right next to Toronto in Canada, around the lakes. And when we were living there, it was only a little town of about 10,000 people. Now I think it's got about 300,000. So we left 48 years ago. And came to Australia due to my mother and brother's health. And it being so cold in Canada, we wanted to come to a warmer place. So it was either South Africa or Australia.
I'm so glad you chose here.
Glad we came here.
Yeah, we're glad you came here too. So tell me a little bit more about that, with your mum and your brother's health and growing up in Canada.
Yeah, well, my dad and mum had their first child at 21. And when mum was pregnant with the second child, polio was rife in Canada. And they didn't give my mother the Sabin because they were worried about it maybe affecting the baby. So they waited until he was born. And then just after he was born, before he could get the Sabin, before he was old enough, mum and my brother both got polio. So mum was paralyzed waist down and my brother was paralyzed waist up. And my brother was in an iron lung for a couple of years because he had no respiratory ability to breathe. And mum was in hospital for years. And then she had 3 more children after that, believe it or not. So wow. She had 5 children. Dad and my mum had 5 children under 6 years old, and mum was in a wheelchair. So we were brought up with sort of sickness, but the cold weather for polio victims or for anyone that had anything wrong with their nervous system or, paralyzation, it's like very painful in the winter. And the snow, we were in a really snowy area, and Toronto and London, we had buckets of snow and it'd get up to minus 30, So it was a freezing country, a freezing area where we were. So yeah, we decided to come here, and so Dad and Mum packed up and away we came over here.
Wow.
But that's how I ended up here when I was 9.5. And that was, nearly 50 years ago now.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And so where did you settle when you first came to Australia?
So when we first came, my dad had a house in East Killara. Mm-hmm. And I went to Chatswood Girls' School, primary, but only for 1 year. And then we all of my 4 brothers and myself, we all went to Killara High School. We stayed in Killara for a long time, and then we moved to Linfield for a while. And then as we all got a bit older, everybody started moving out and moved to different parts of Sydney. And we've always been in Sydney though. We never left. But we've travelled back. I've travelled back many, many times. So all my family still live. Most of my family still live in Canada. but my 4 brothers and my dad are here now. Mum passed away at 76, and that was about 13 years ago. She had a good, she had a good, lasted till 76, which was pretty amazing because, lots of people either give up or, but Mum had the fight in her to want to hang around. So, yeah, she's a bit like myself. She wanted to be out there and happy and always doing something, and didn't let her disability stop her doing anything. So it was good.
She was amazing. I remember reading a lot about your mum, and my mum was 76 when she passed as well.
Oh, wow.
And you and I spoke to each other on Facebook at the time that when it happened with our mums. But I mean, she did achieve a lot for somebody to have gone through all that she went through. She was an amazing person.
Well, I think it's with my mum and my dad. They're extremely intelligent people, and I think when you've got a brain, at least you can go and do things. Like she was originally a teacher, and she when she got polio, she actually started a school in the hospital itself for all the polio victims. So my mum had polio, and then she would teach all the polio victims because they couldn't go to school. So Mum started the primary school within the hospital.
Wow.
And then did public speaking for 35 years, and she would write speeches for all the CEO executives and then do training programs on public speaking because, a lot of the people in that position can't public speak to save their life. So she did a lot of traveling around Australia, God love her, with her canes and, her bags packed, and walked into rooms with hundreds of men, just saying, righto, well, you're going to listen to me, basically. And then at 70, she decided to learn Spanish. She had a Spanish housekeeper, and she said, if you teach me Spanish, I'll teach you English. So they ended up becoming best friends. And Mum went over to this lady's in-laws in Chile in the wheelchair by herself, and spent 3 months in Chile at the age of 73, giving these little Chile kids rides around on her electric wheelchair while she was up in some mountain somewhere. Yeah, it was unreal. And then, taught advanced Spanish at home. She had about 7 or 8 students at home, and she would teach Spanish from home. And, she played bridge and she did a lot of stuff, And she lived with me for the last 10 years of her life. So I could be there, look after her, do what I needed to. And, that keeps the spirit alive, I think, when they've got family that's there, even though she hated the help sometimes, obviously, wanted to be able to walk. But I actually found someone sent me an old photo of Mum, a college photo, only about a month ago. They found it on ancestry.com, and your college photos, and underneath it had her name, and usually they say under their name what they like to do, and Mum's was singing and dancing. So before she got the polio, she loved dancing, right? So, and then she loved her singing as well. She was a great singer. So it was just funny to see that, singing and dancing. See, I never knew my mum to walk, so for her to be able to dance with 21 years and then not be able to dance, you'd be pretty peed off, I think. That your sort of life is taken away from you in the sense, isn't it?
The life she had planned for herself. Yes.
So that's how we managed to be able to come to Australia.
Yeah.
So incredible.
I mean, I can see, hearing your mum's story, it so helps us understand the way you are. And because there's so many things that you do. Now, one of them, of course, is your music. So what inspired you to be an entertainer? Where did all that come from? You said your mum sang, but what inspired you to actually pursue that?
Well, I had always sung when I was young. And then when I came to Australia, I was in a couple of musicals. And then went to high school. I played in a little trio, and I always had music in me because all my family played. My dad and my mum and a couple of my brothers played different instruments, and my grandmother, my aunties. It was always just in Canada, everybody sang and played. That's what you did when you were young. And then no one can describe how you like to, singing is just your life. And when you do it, you just can't explain it. So when I was about 17, I was like, you know what, I really should go back to lessons just for my own joy, really. And I started going to this guy at Artarmon, Scott, his name was, and I went to him for about 6 months. Absolutely loved him. And then he told me he was terminally ill, and I was like, what? Because when you're 18 and you've met this wonderful singing teacher, and he was just so great at the piano, and he really wanted me to go a long way. And then he died, and then I couldn't sing for about 6 months after that because I was so emotional. And then I just sort of gave it away for a couple of years. And then I started playing my guitar in the bathroom when the kids were young, and I was like, oh God, I miss singing so much. And then at about 30, I was just like, no, I've got to go back to it. So when I went back to it, had chosen all the songs I sung when I was a kid, which was most of the Carpenter songs and American songs, because we had John Denver and we had Anne Murray and Katie Lang and all the great Canadian artists. And they were what inspired me. Their voices and their quality and their everything about how they sung and their songs. And then I was like, right, I'm gonna do a show. I just said to myself, not knowing really what that meant. And then started my Carpenter show 25 years ago.
So that was my next question was about that.
And that's the music I want to do, and that was sort of it, really. That's how I became this. And then, of course, you learn. I do heaps of other songs, obviously, but that's just they're my favorites. I love the music. That's it.
Yeah.
Inspiration-wise, it was her voice and what they did, and their arrangements, and everybody just loved the Carpenters' music. And we never had to transpose the key.
That's so good.
I transpose every key of every female singer about 3 tones lower. So it's just nice. It's nice to be able to sing something in your natural voice that you don't have to struggle with.
That's true. Anne Murray's the same. I find Anne Murray and Carpenter. You just slip into their songs.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So did you say 25 years ago? So it's been that amount of time. I've seen you say about going to London. And I always used to think, oh, London, oh, how nice is that? Thinking you were talking about London, England. And then it was later on I realized, oh, it's not. It's London in Canada.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't know that though. So
no, I didn't know at the time. It was only reading other posts that you'd put up that I found out.
And then they've got in London itself is one of the most prominent universities. So most of the outskirts of London, like Toronto and the other little areas around, they all come to London for education. So like my dad was one of the teachers at the London University, and he also taught at Cambridge, and he lectured in psychology. So he was a senior lecturer there. And so when he came to Australia, he was sort of already in the Catholic system of education. So he got a job at North Sydney Teachers College. And so he sort of was with all the nuns and taught all the student teachers. And so he had quite a great job as well. And that's where I suppose I get my inspirational stuff from my mother and my dad, because they've just been amazing parents.
Incredible.
And I'm very lucky to have such great parents, and brothers. I've got great brothers. I've got a great family. So I think that's what you get you know, people say, oh, you like your parents. Well, you sort of are. And then you get the other people on the other side that, you know, they haven't had great parents and they've turned out incredible because they don't want to be like their parents, you know.
Yes.
As
Yes.
where I want to be like my parents because I want to be successful and good and love what I, you know, be good in the community and, you know, have a good time.
They've been good role model for you.
Yeah, they've been great. Yeah.
What about your brothers? Have any of them pursued music?
My oldest brother used to sing in musicals all the time. And he sort of stopped as he sort of got into work. The next brother, Michael, he was the one with polio, so he wasn't into music so much as he was into computers. So basically, his first job when he was 16 was with NADAL, which is National Association for Disabled Office Workers. And my brother started with the Commonwealth Bank actually at Turramurra, and moved up with computers to be head IBM computer programmer. And that's what he retired after 40 years of programming. It was very stressful at times, but because he wasn't physical, he was mental. His brain was so, you know, he was so smart, but he wasn't physically. So it's always that it's you're either a sportsman or you use your brain more because you have to, because you can't do that physical stuff, you know. And then my next brother along, he was into futures trading, so he built a business for the last 40 years in the city, and that's called FEX Global, and that's a global emissions trading business. And so he's CEO of that. And then my next brother, Brian, sorry, that CEO brother, wasn't into music, but always followed my singing, loves my singing. Like he actually paid 6 months for my singing lessons one year. Said, I want you to never stop singing, never, ever, ever. So he hadn't seen one of my shows for about 10 years, and he came to Glen Street last year, and he was just like, you know, oh my God, Lisa, it's so fun, so good, you know. So that supported me in my music. So then the youngest one, he was the first country road Australian model, actually, my brother, or he's 1 year older than me. And he works as a director for my brother's company. And he used to play cello and violin. And he played till he was about 12, I suppose. I loved listening to him play violin and cello. I loved it. And then he sort of gave it up, but he was always into music and that sort of thing. They're still into music now, but they don't play.
They're not professional like you are.
No.
Yeah.
No, but they love it, but they just don't do it themselves.
Yeah. And the younger brother that had the polio, how was he able to, because you said he was paralyzed from the waist up?
Yep. So what happened when we came to Australia, they waited until he was 18, and then they did a life-saving operation, which was, he was one of the first recipients of the Harrington rod. And what the Harrington rod is 2 metal rods that get clipped from the top to the bottom of your spine, and you get stretched on for traction. So he was in hospital for a good 2 years, where his body would get stretched. He had screws in his kneecaps and a 4-crown bolted in his head. And then they put weights on the bed every day or every week to stretch his body. And then after they stretched his body, they opened him up, put the rods in, and then he had plaster for like 9 months. But he'd have to stay in hospital, so they'd have to transfer him home. And they brought him a tilt bed, which means he could stand on the metal bit at the bottom, and then because he couldn't really sit. So he had to be transported to and from hospital, but that was great because then he could come home on the weekend. So this was all when I was 15. I would be at school, I'd leave school, I'd get on the train, I'd go to the Mater Hospital, I'd go and feed him in the afternoon because he'd be straight, just flat on his back. I'd go feed him in the afternoon, visit him, get back, go home, do my homework, go to school, do the same thing. Did that for months and months. And then he got transferred to rehab at St. Ives, to the Margaret Reed Hospital, where he did intensive rehab for like a long time, like maybe even might have been a year or two. But he was in hospital for a long time. But now, if they hadn't have done that operation, he would have been. That's how they end up dying, is because if they don't have the op, they bend over till their lungs cave in.
Oh, wow.
And they can't breathe. So if they get like my brother getting COVID was like really scary, because he can't cough, so he can't
get rid of the
do
phlegm.
things. Then 5 years ago he got cancer. He got not leukemia, whatever the cancer is. I'll think of it in a minute. And we nearly lost him then, and then he got through that, and now he's got post polio syndrome, which is they get chronic fatigue again, so they get sick like they did when they were first born. So that comes around about the age of 60, where they get chronic fatigue, and they're just tired all the time, and their body's just like. So yeah, no,
so he couldn't move his arms and his.
Yeah, so basically the top part of his body, his arms are like that, and he can't straighten them.
Okay.
So they're constantly like that, and then he can't reach up, so he can only.
And how did he do the work? Is there something he was doing with his?
No, he could use his hands.
He can use his hands. Okay.
Yeah. So he could use his hands. He just can't do the reach up, and then.
Okay.
He could sit. He had really strong legs, good bottom, nothing wrong with his tummy. He could sit, and he could be on a computer.
Okay.
There was a lot of things too. They could use radio mic things for digital typing and all that sort of stuff. So, but it was mainly in the office, and so
that was great that there was that for him to do.
Yeah, he had a great job, and then he loved he had. Well, we have a big family, so we're always doing something with each other. So
yeah,
it was always fun. We always have family visits and that sort of thing. So it's good.
Yeah. And apart from your music, you have another talent, and that is your art. And that artwork is, you're wearing a lot of it at the moment. It's just incredible artwork, the way you do it, and you start from just a blank piece of cardboard. That's it, and you just draw the designs and then color it in, and then it's transformed onto polyester material. It's just incredible, Lisa.
I know. It was
so tell the listeners a bit about how that started.
It was a bit of you've probably seen the black and white one of late, have you?
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook. Yeah,
everybody. The only thing I just don't like about that is so boring, because it's only black and white. So it's just so how that came about was I did a lot of. I've always done art. I was art and music at school. So if I had have stayed at school and been a good girl, I probably would have done really well in an arts degree. But instead, I chose to be naughty when I was 15 and left school and got a job. So I didn't get any degrees in art, but I always did it. And then when I looked after my mum, I used to just, draw a fair bit. Oh, I always did something. And then I was doing a lot of finer art, like this finer stuff. And then I just looked at it one day and I was like, wow, this is like really cool. I wonder what it would look like on something movable. Because I was trying to sell my art in a picture. It just didn't work. It just wasn't, it just, I don't know. People just didn't buy it. And so I thought, you know what, if I had it on something movable, I could go out and wear it. So that was, I just one day rang up this digital fabric making company, and I just said, look, I've got art pieces on A3s. So that's all they are, A3s. I got art pieces on A3s, and they said, yeah, bring it in. We'll they had to convert it color wise and color match and all that sort of stuff. And they said it's $3,000 a roll. I was like, oh, okay. So I thought, well, bugger it. Let's just, let's try it and see what happens. So I did my first roll, and then I made my first caftan, and then it just sort of went on and on and on and on. And and on and on. And then that was for about a year, and then COVID hit. So then that's when I decided, oh, wow, well, what am I going to do? So just made up a heap of different products. And then I started looking on the internet for my art to be printed on other things other than fabric, and hence why we come up with like the Lisa B water bottle. So
Yeah,
of course,
beautiful
fabric. I sent my art piece in, a section of my art piece, and they printed on bottles, and then I went to a million other products. And
face masks, of course.
Yeah, well,
yep.
You got this one, haven't you? You got the orangey one. I call this
orange,
orangey one because it's got the nice little orange. So I've just sold over 1,300 masks now.
Whoa, congratulations.
Thank you. In the last
comfortable to wear.
2 years. Oh, I know, they're comfy, aren't they?
Mm.
And then at first when I was making them, obviously, I had the wrong elastic, and I didn't really, I don't make them, by the way. I have a 12-year-old, her mother and the grandmother making them for me, because I can't sew anyway. So they made this caftan for me. So yeah, It's just been so fun. So I'm up to my 6th art piece now on fabric, and I've got about 80 other artworks that nobody's even seen yet.
Wow. Well, I'm going to put a link to all your website and your Lisa B art page. I'm going to put all those links in the comments.
That'd be amazing. And then, so I suppose you'll ask me about the NRF 1 and 2 and how we got to that. But more than that, just I think that
I wasn't going to ask you about that. Actually, we can if you want to.
Oh well, I didn't know if you were or you weren't. I was just going to say, for the watchers and the listeners, I've been on for how long do you reckon? 12 months, 18 months, 16, 12
it
months.
Would be not quite 12 months.
Nearly 12, yeah.
Yeah.
And you did say it would take, maybe 3, maybe 6, maybe 12 before you really.
Yeah. It takes a month per decade you've been alive to have full effect. And but everybody is different. It depends on how much is going on in your body at the time. So everyone is different. Some people notice it after a few weeks, some after a few months. Everyone's different.
Well, I did notice after about 3 or 4 months, but what I'm noticing now with having the extra one is the energy side of it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so when you said to just have the extra one, I've sort of noticed it's really maybe for my body size and everything that's absorbing better as being 2, not as being 1. So I know you said not to have it unless I was sick or I needed it, but I think it's really got me through. So that's been fantastic. Just general health, to try to keep it to a good health at the moment with the weather and everybody being sick. I definitely think it's helped.
Yeah, I'm glad.
We've got to look after ourselves because of our job.
Well, that's right. Exactly. And we want natural products. So that's where it's really important. And if anyone's interested in what we're talking about, you can always contact me or Lisa afterwards, and we can let them know what we were referring to. But another question I have for you is, okay, so you're doing wonderful things with your music, with the Carpenters, and when we were in lockdowns, you were doing live shows on Facebook nearly every day. And absolutely amazing. So I know all the beautiful things you're doing with your music, and as I said, I'll put links in the comments for everyone to follow you with that. But what other aspirations, what other visions do you have for the future of what Lisa would like to do that maybe you haven't done yet?
Definitely, I've traveled a lot. I definitely want to travel a lot more. I think with my art, I want to jackpot some future for the art. Is one thing that's going to sell 1 million of, like whether it be dinner covers or whatever or whatever. I think for the future, all I want to just keep a focus on my art. Try to come up with a product that's going to be, you know, a global product for everybody. Try not to work too hard on that, because I don't want to get so in the deep end that I'm, you know, I've got absolutely and utterly no time. I don't want to be like big. Next year, I am going home to Canada to do my carpenter's show in my hometown. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think just keeping the music alive, keeping active. There's nothing. See, the problem with me is there's nothing else I want to do except those two things. Which, because I've done so much. Like, I've done so much. I've been to 52 countries. I've been all around the world. I've done millions of jobs. I've had a catering business. I've worked in entertainment. I've worked in clubs. I've worked in restaurants, bars, cafes. You know, I'm actually going to a farm. I don't know. I think you must know Jason from the Desperado show. He's the drummer, and he's just bought a cherry farm.
Oh.
And he's going to have big festivals there. And I'm going there, and I said, I'll come for the weekend. I'll sing on Saturday night. I said, can I work in the bar on Friday night? He said, sure. So, you know, I just love the aspect of hospitality. There's nothing really future. I just say the music and the art. And if we can do those together, and, you know, I can sing till I'm 85, I'll be pretty happy with that.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
And then you'll find something to do at 85. I know you.
Oh, yeah, I will. And just keeping connection with people like yourself and other great people that have, you know, maybe struggled through something bad in their life and come through, and they're doing something different, like you are, you know, and you love your music still, and you're into your vitamin stuff, which is unreal, and helping people. I think your spiritual guidance and experience, and you know, showing people you actually really care about them. You're not just, you know, you're not just wanting everything like, look at me. You're not like that type of person. You actually want everyone to enjoy their life, and it's nice to, you know, have people that are not just out to, you know, I don't know, better themselves in some way by using people or whatever. I mean, you just don't do that. You're just so joyous. And I felt like that, you know, when you used to come to Roselands all those 20 years ago, you know, with your husband and, you know, having your family and everything that you've done. So I suppose everyone that's listening, you must, I want to congratulate Kel-Anne at this moment. And that's just, you know, good for you with all our struggles and what we've been through. I think having that, though, makes you the people you are. You know, if everything's perfect all the time, you're not going to,
you don't grow. You don't
know anything. You're just like, you're sort of shut-eye and you don't have any idea, you know.
Yeah, we have to go through it to grow and learn. And I've started, as you know, the Inspired Mindset coaching and all those things too, to help people. And it's about, for me, it's as I've gone through something traumatic or whatever, and I've learned tools to get through that, I like to pass it on to others to show them that, okay, this is how I got through this. I can help you.
Yeah, well, that's what I sort of do as well. And I mean, I know people probably think, oh, if I have to see another post of Lisa's, I'm going to, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do. But then again, I'm not doing it for attention to me. I'm doing it because maybe pop one day something I've said, or someone's looked at something and, oh my God, that was a good idea. Or she's right, you know, I've just got to feel a little bit better today. Tomorrow's going to be better. So it's just always inspiring things, you know, rather than just whinging. And, you know, I have enough of whinging. I can't stand whingers, and I can't stand people that just won't help themselves. And if something's wrong, we'll try to fix it. If you can't fix it, get somebody to help you fix it. Talk. You know, my sanity is talking. If I didn't talk or express myself, I don't know where I'd be now.
And singing, the same with me. Singing started off as therapy for me and ended up being a career. You know,
That's right. Yeah.
you know, we and we're inspiring people when we're singing. It's a two-way street. The audience inspire us, we're inspiring them. It's heart to heart. It's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, and how lucky are we? We get to. I was saying this to someone the other day, actually, which I didn't think about until the other day. And I thought, you know, when we're on stage and there's 200 people looking at us, what we get 200 faces.
Yeah.
They only get one face because they're only looking at us. They're smiling and they're looking at us, but we get 200 people. We're looking at them, or 400 or 500, and it's just like, oh, all that just comes in.
Yeah, nothing like it.
Think, oh, I got their love and that and that and that, and then we do our job better because we're so happy to see everybody happy.
Yeah, and it keeps going backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it opens, everyone's hearts open. It's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's great.
It is. It is.
Very good.
Well, thank you, Lisa. It has been so beautiful to have this chat with you. I really appreciate that you took the time today to chat with me. And I'm going to say goodbye to all our Facebook friends and YouTube, actually, as well. We're going to be putting this on YouTube too. So we'll say goodbye to everybody, and thank you for tuning in, and keep an eye out on the comments, because I'm going to put all the information about Lisa up there.
That's fantastic. Kel-Anne, great job. I look forward to seeing you in real life really soon, all right?
Sounds good to me.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye, everybody.